Hey, how's it going guys? Dazzle here and welcome back to another exciting video. Today I'm bringing you guys a new series on my channel. I don't really know what to call it yet, probably just Arms Warrior PvP guide. But in this series I'll be going through talents and honor talents, key bindings, movements, DPS rotations, macros, and add-ons. Today's episode we'll take a look at talents and honor talents. I will show you guys different builds and go through each talents and their functions. Alright, so starting off with the default PvP build. Now this is a build that most of the people prefer using, and also what I prefer using most of the times. So we use Dauntless, Stormbolt, Rend, Defensive Stance, Titanic Might, Infinite Kill, and Opportunity Strikes. Alright, so this build is basically a less burst dependent build and more focused on your damage over time, which we focus using Rend. Now, Dauntless is a passive talent that reduces the rage cost of your abilities by 10%. It is very important if you're using Rend, because you will spend your rage really quickly and will often end up in situations where you have to auto attack. And Titanic Might is also really helpful with your rotation, as it usually generates about 20 to 30 rage. Reducing the cooldown of a Colossus Smash can help you keep up rotations, and also increases your damage with longer duration of the Colossus Smash effects. Now, Infinite Kill can help you generate more rage from auto attacks, as it increases your haste for 8 seconds, also allows you to do more damage. And I personally prefer Opportunity Strikes if you want to do even more damage and generate more rage, but Anger Management works too. So now let's talk about the modifications that we can use for this build. If you're versing a melee comp, for example, you can try using Sweeping Strikes and Shockwave. Now, I often don't use Shockwave if I'm not guaranteed to hit 3 targets, because if you don't hit 3 targets you don't get the 20 seconds cooldown reduced. So basically you get a 40 seconds cooldown, which is longer than Stormbolt. But if you can guarantee to hit 3 targets, then you definitely want to pick up Shockwave. Okay, so for example, if these two are both melees and they're together, you can go in and stun both of them using Shockwave and hit both of them with your Mortal Strike, because Sweeping Strikes allows your Mortal Strike and Execute to hit 2 additional nearby targets. So if there is a third target in between these two, you can hit all 3 of them with your Mortal Strike or your Execute. Alright guys, so let's talk about Double Time and Bounding Stride. Now, I personally do not recommend you using Double Time or Bounding Stride in ranked games, because your stuns are more helpful to the team than mobility, and also Defensive Stance can be useful if you're taking a lot of damage. So what Double Time allows you to do is you can charge twice, and Bounding Stride gives you increased speed after Heroic Leaping. Alright, so let's talk about more on the level 45 row. So I'm gonna show you guys why you want to choose Rend instead of Avatar in ranked games. Alright, so Avatar have a 1.5 minutes cooldown, and Rend only costs 27 rage and doesn't have a cooldown to it. Now, without Dauntless it will cost 30 rage, but with Dauntless it only costs 27 rage. Alright, so for example, if you have 2 targets in front of you, and if you're using Avatar and you charge in, you can only burst on one target and the other target doesn't take any damage. But if you have Rend, you can apply Rend on this target while bursting on him, and if Rend runs out on the second target, you can apply it again and go back to your initial target. Now if the other target is far away, you always have Heroic Leap and Charge to catch up to them. Alright guys, so let's move on to our honor talents. So for the first row, I strongly recommend you guys using Gladiator's Medallion. It's pretty much a PvP trinket. Now if you play an Orc, I suggest you using Relentless because it works really well with the Orc's racial. Alright, so moving on to the second row, this really depends on the people who you are fighting against. So me personally, I am always on Reinforced Armor when I'm in like World PvP or Battlegrounds. But if I'm in ranked games, I will pick whether, if I'm fighting a melee comp, I will use Sparring, or if I'm fighting others who aren't melee, I'll use reinforced armor. Now hardiness isn't really that good because once you go below 80% health, that 20% less damage becomes useless. And for the next row, it's like the same thing with the rest of the talents. So basically, if you're fighting a class that can kite you, you want to use Death Sentence because it's extra mobility for you. When you're executing, you can catch up with them. If you're fighting against a melee class, I suggest you using Disarm to disarm them, so you can either peel your healer or just take less damage from them, especially when they're bursting. Now for Death Row, I haven't really tried this yet, but I'm pretty sure if you want to kill your target really quickly and finish them off, Death Row will be pretty nice because you can execute targets below 20%, 25% health. Okay, so moving on to the next row. If you're fighting against casters, you want to pick up Spell Reflection. For example, a Warlock's Chaos Bolt, you can Spell Reflect that back to them. And when I'm fighting against non-casters, I'll use either Master and Commander and Rage Machine, depending on the situations. And for our next row, I mainly stick with Pain Train if I don't know which one I want to use. But mainly in 2v2s, I would want to use Duel to peel my healer. And if I know that I'll get CC'd a lot in the game, I'll pick up War Banner. For our final row, I'm always using Sharpened Blade because it just increases the damage a lot, and it's only on a 25 seconds cooldown. It pretty much replaces your avatar for you, but the downside is that you heal less when this ability is activated, and it lasts for 4 seconds. So if your healer is struggling to heal you and you're low on HP, do not use this ability. Alright guys, so this concludes for the video for this week. If I said anything wrong or forgot something, please let me know in the comments below. Next week, I will talk about key bindings. Anyways, hope you guys all have a great day and have a happy new year. Peace!